Alrighty, so welcome back. In a previous video I was sharing a little bit of the context for what I intend to share in this video, which is about bandhas and pranayama in relationship to the art and craft of the cultivation of light as per through Tantrik Hatha Yoga. And so currently we're running a course online with practitioners from all over the world, and we're diving into some of these techniques. And so these videos are to support not only the practitioners that are currently studying with me, but also anybody who could benefit from this material. And this video I want to talk about specifically the three main bandhas in the Hatha Yoga methodology of the Hatha Yoga system. These three bandhas are mula bandha, the root, uddiyana bandha, the stomach, and jalandhara bandha at the throat. And so please review the previous video where I give some of the context behind where these techniques are coming from. But in this video, we're just going to dive right in. So make sure that you can sit comfortably, and I'm going to walk you through each of the three bandhas and how they manifest. And so the first step is to find your alignment in your spine, bringing the crown of the head directly on top of the tailbone. And from this position, if you'd like to do this with me, I'd invite you to do so you can experience them. But so sitting comfortably, and you can close your eyes, bringing crown of the head over the tailbone, and just start to deepen the breath. Inhale and exhale slowly and deeply. And as you breathe in and out through the nose, see if you can find that alignment of your spine. When we find the alignment of the spine and the weight from the crown of the head can drop down into the throat, you kind of got to bring the chin back ever so slightly towards the throat to get this alignment. Then the weight of the head can drop into the shoulders as the collarbones relax. The heart can relax as the weight sinks down, the ribs come in. The belly stays long as the weight drops down into the hips, and then the weight from everything above drops into everything below. We find ourselves positioned right on top of the tailbone. The base is heavy and stable. That means the bones of the legs, the bones of the shins, the ankles, the feet, everything is stable and creating a solid foundation for what's above. And then from this position with the alignment of the spine, as we deepen our breath, go ahead and do this with me. Inhale slowly. And as you exhale, just pay close attention. Slow exhale through the nose. Pay close attention to what's happening at the base of the spine and the pelvic floor area. Follow the inhale up from the base. Slow, deep, steady inhalation. Slow, complete, full exhalation. Draw the lower belly in ever so slightly as you exhale. And again, pay close attention at the end of the exhale to what happens at the pelvic floor. Inhalation. And now we're going to accentuate this experience at the pelvic floor. So you're exhaling. Lower belly's pulling in ever so slightly to squeeze the air out and down. And now lift actively at the pelvic floor by squeezing the muscles around the anus. And I maintain a little bit of a grip there as you inhale. If you do this right, you'll notice that the spine starts to become more firm. Again, exhalation. Drawing the lower belly in ever so slightly. Towards the end of the exhale, starting to lift at the pelvic floor. And at the very end of the exhale, maximum lift and squeeze the muscles of the anus. And then maintaining that grip as you inhale. So this is mula bandha. You can go ahead and release the breath and just come back into the video here. We're noticing the seal that mula bandha, mula means root, happens here at the base. And so the translation of the word bandha, some people call it lock, and the translation that I like to work with is tie. Bandha means tie. It does mean lock, but tie is a little more accurate. And what that's doing as the mula, the root, is it's tying together the usually outward flowing threads of light and energy that are exiting through the base of the spine and withdrawing and creating a container, a vessel to hold that energy. And when the mula bandha is effective, you could say, and the pelvic floor and the muscles around the pelvic floor are creating a stable and solid container, then the energy starts to come into the central position, which then leads us to our second bandha, uddiyana bandha. Ud means to fly upward. So this is literally the flying upward lock or tie. And you may experience, and this is why in Hatha Yoga they consider this the king of all the bandhas, the one that is most important, because when we start to work with this lock, you'll see in a moment, at the stomach, it actually cooperates with the lift at the pelvic diaphragm and the pelvic floor. As well as when we create this suction at the stomach, the tissue around the throat gets pulled down. And this is the beginning of jalandhara bandha. Okay? So I'm going to demonstrate, and again, you can do this with me to learn or to review. So we have this deep, slow inhale and exhale in our aligned posture. And exhaling here. And at the end of the exhale, hold the air out for just a moment, and I'm going to apply uddiyana. You can do it if you are familiar. I reset the belly and I inhale. I can't really talk when it's happening, but you can see visually, right? So I'm going to exhale. At the end of the exhale, I'm going to hold the breath out, and I'm going to draw my abdomen powerfully in towards my spine. Watch. I reset the navel before I inhale, and I keep the navel back slightly so that when I breathe in, the breath moves into the back body. And so exhaling, I'll do one more time. And just imagine what happens at the base when I apply uddiyana. So exhale, breath is held out. The base lifts up, the stomach pulls back. You can see also my throat. Reset, inhale, breath circulates up the back body. And now this bandha is very stimulating. It's very activating. It really works with Manipura chakra in this area here at the solar plexus. It's purifying to all of the organs in the abdomen. And what we're doing is, while engaging uddiyana, the pelvic floor actually responds and has to, because the muscles cooperate. They're synergistic. That's why I consider them ties. So it's like one knot is tied and then the other knot is tied, and then there's a tautness that occurs, and that tautness brings all the energy into the spinal column. So we have mula bandha, the root, uddiyana bandha, the flying upward lock, and the last one is jalandhara bandha, and that's the throat. And there's a couple ways to do this. One, and the most simple, is just to bring the chin, the point of the chin, elongate the back of the neck, and it actually creates a sort of pressure chamber and a balance between my cranial cavity and the thoracic and abdominal cavity. And so just by bringing the chin ever so slightly back towards the hyoid bone in the pit of the throat, I create sort of a seal in this upper area, which prevents the energy from rising into the brain and creating too much pressure in the brain. And so creating that seal causes everything to stay compact in this area. And I'll demonstrate so you can see. And oftentimes Jalandhara bandha can be done just completely on its own, but you'll see it in conjunction with the other bandhas, because remember, they're synergistic. They actually work together as ties in a single unit. And the ultimate result of all three bandhas is what is known as Mahabandha. Maha means great, which is the great seal. And everything is tied together into a single continuous thread of energy in a column of light. All of our senses and the energy of the senses is withdrawn inward. Okay, so I'll demonstrate. I'm going to inhale. And as I'm inhaling, the pelvic floor is slightly lifting to accentuate the rise of the inhalation. At the top of the inhale, I exhale, and I can kind of follow as my chin drops, and I start to move towards the jalandhara bandha. But then at the end of the exhale, when the breath is out, I go into a kumbhaka. Reset the navel. Inhale, pelvic floor's lifting, navel's back. And now what I'm going to do at the top of this inhale is I'm going to again hold the breath in. So ready? Top of inhale, breath is held. Collarbones lift, chin drops. Navel's back, pelvic floor's lifted. Everything is withdrawn inward. Then I release the chin and I exhale. So you have two sort of variations that I demonstrated. One is just tip of the chin goes towards the pit of the throat. Or the accentuated version is during the kumbhaka and during the breath retention, especially at the top when the inhale is held in. This is a form of kumbhaka known as antar kumbhaka. I inhale. And then because the collarbones are lifted, I want to keep the collarbones lifted, and then the chin comes down. So I don't push the chin down without the collarbones being lifted, okay? Collarbones are lifted, chin down, and it's almost like the spine becomes like a cobra hood. Yeah, if you look from the side, there's an arch up through the cervical spine in the head. These three bandhas, again, as a review, work together to tie and seal the energy in the body, which helps us with, this is actually a really key part of pranayama that people miss, because pranayama is not just breath work, it's the restraint of the prana. Prana meaning life force, ayama meaning to restrain, as one of the translations. And so by restraining the life force, by withdrawing it from its usually outward flowing leak into the world that we are manifesting through our senses and ultimately projecting with our mind, by withdrawing that energy and training ourselves to bring it back in, we can then sort of regenerate or refresh or update the system, so to speak, from the source of all of our energy. And so learning how to do this over time and with practice, we start to sever the connections that we are making to the world of projection, and the energy starts to become more identified and familiar with that eternal space within, from which everything is manifesting. And so bandhas are a key part of pranayama, which is a key part of Hatha Yoga as the art of the cultivation of light, and the application of these practices and these techniques is part of the greater system of yoga as the return to one's source. So I hope this is helpful, and thank you so much for joining me. Stay tuned for future videos on this topic. Namaste.